yeah. Uh, Hello guys, and welcome to my YouTube channel. If you're coming from the previous video, then welcome back. But if you're not, what are you doing, bro? Subscribe, like, and stay tuned for this video. So today we're literally going to talk about life, and what do I mean by life? For starters, not everybody's life starts at the age of 20 or 21. Most people either started earlier or some people started later. And what do I mean by that? So when we talk about people who started earlier, we look at celebrities, child actors, movie stars. We look at people who already have a different background from us, people that already took the initiative way before 20, people that stood out already, people that started businesses at 18, 16, maybe even at 15, 10, people that stood out. These are people that are already at a different level compared to you where you are right now. Like me, obviously, um, I'm just a lucky person to be where I am here today. So I can't really say I've accomplished much myself, but that's the whole essence. We all start at different points. Like I'm starting at a different point, and somebody else is starting at a different point. And I want us to understand that something about life, especially from my perspective of life, that the one key thing that guides everything is simply just one thing, which is responsibility. And what do I mean by responsibility? Responsibility simply means action, and actions that are bound to you. So let me give you a scenario. You're 25 or 23 or 25. Let's just leave it 25. You're 25, just moved out of your parents' house, moved into your first apartment, or you're all by yourself, and you have a house, you live in the apartment. That apartment becomes your responsibility for you to keep it clean, to maintain it, to provide food and services in the apartment because it's now your apartment, it's your responsibility. So this pushes you to provide a lifestyle which you find convenient in that apartment. This promotes you to start moving. Okay, it's my apartment. I have to restock on commodities like food, rice, and other essentials that you need. So this now makes you move. This is your factor. This responsibility you've been given to that apartment is what now motivates you. Okay, I have to do a good job to get a salary because I'm responsible to provide everything in the house. If you get this, how responsibilities move you to start your own life. So the more responsibilities you have, the more life puts pressure on you. In essence, responsibility is what determines not the start of your life, but it determines how you live it. It happens even during school processes or even in school, because if you look at it, you're responsible for your own grade, which means you have to work hard towards your grade. Basically, responsibilities catch up to you. That's why I mentioned earlier. For some people, it's earlier in life, and for some people, it's later in life. And it doesn't really matter because these responsibilities do catch up to you, whether you want them to or not. So, first of all, when we talk about responsibilities, like I mentioned earlier, these are things and actions that you are responsible of. So, your house is your responsibility, but it goes way beyond your house. You have a car, you're now responsible for the car too. You have kids, a wife, and um fees to pay. So this means that you're now responsible for more things. So life goes on, and the more things you're responsible of, the more hectic your life becomes. And that's not necessarily a bad thing because naturally nobody likes to be idle. Nobody wants to be going on a doom scroll for 12 hours doing nothing. So these responsibilities give a sense or a meaning to your life, which is why sometimes the more responsible you are, the more you're busy, the more you feel like you have to do this right. That's because these self-giving responsibilities, not just self-giving, because there are things that you should do, but these are what give you the value of living. Okay, as a Muslim, you have a responsibility to pray 5 times a day. So the fact that you have these 5 prayers to pray gives you a responsibility. Okay, have I prayed Fajr? Have I prayed? So you get, so this gives you a sense of responsibility, things that you have to do. So in that aspect, even when we look at responsibilities, we can categorize them if we want to. But personally, I categorize them maybe in the same way somebody else does. But this is my perspective. So we categorize responsibilities in different ways. But I personally categorize them in three different ways. First of all, we have responsibility to yourself. That's number one, because you have to be responsible for yourself. Number two, we have responsibilities to others. These are things that you should give others. These are responsibilities that you're supposed to give others, not just yourself. And then lastly, we have responsibilities to the environment. This is the place around you, the place you live, the place you stay. So these are all the responsibilities that you should have as a person, or not just as a person, but what I feel like gives you or a meaning to your starting of life. So responsibility to yourself. Like I stated earlier, you have a house, You have to take care of it. You have to find commodities and essentials to it. You have to have a car, you have to clean it, you have to fuel it, you have to service it. These are all responsibilities to yourself. Responsibility to yourself is keeping yourself healthy, keeping yourself clean. This is brushing, waking up every day and brushing your teeth. This is waking up every day and reading a book to learn something. These are responsibilities that you have to yourselves, things that you need to do to make yourself a better person. This is dressing nice, looking nice, smelling nice, and making sure less people have body odor in public. Responsibility to other people, others basically. You have a responsibility to others in the way you address them, in the manner you talk to them, and in the respect you give them. What do I mean? Just because you don't know who somebody is doesn't mean you shouldn't give him a respect. But when we talk about respect, people say that respect is given till it's lost or it's earned, which is both perspectives are good when you look at it. Responsibility to others is the responsibility that you have to give other people, which means this means treating other people with a certain degree of morality, maybe dignity, honesty, and fairness, basically. So this means treating people with a certain degree of respect, which means that no matter who you're talking to, wherever they are, you should always address them with a certain degree of respect, no matter his position, how he walks, or degree. So this is your responsibility to others to address them as fellow human beings, not just because oh you think because I've achieved more in life than him. You don't know where he's gonna be here today or tomorrow. And not even that, this is a responsibility to others. You treat people how you want them to treat you, basically. So if you don't do that, how do you expect others to give you that same sense of degree or sense feel okay, I have a sense of responsibility to address this as my peer or as my fellow human being. This is what we mean by responsibility to others. This is things you do for other people to ensure that they also feel respected as a human being. Because let's look at family for example. We all have a responsibility to our siblings. If my elder brother now got sick, I have a responsibility to take him to the hospital and get him checked without regardless of the situation we're in. Or if something happens to him, I have a responsibility to support him if he's in the right. And even if he's in the wrong, I have a responsibility to get him out of being in the wrong and reducing the situation as a whole. And then this is why we don't make false promises to others, and we also empathize with other people, and then we try to help others that are in need. This obviously I'm not gonna help somebody if I don't have the means to help. But if you have the means to help, that's advisable for you to help because it's to help other people. Because what's important is not standing by allowing someone to suffer or die just because you do nothing. If you don't get that, then you don't get the first thing about being responsible to others. This simply means you have to do things to help people. What do I mean by responsibility to your environment? I'm not going to tell you some bullshit like you should turn off the light before you go home, recycle. You're meant to do all of that, but that's not what I mean by responsibility to your environment. First of all, you have to look at the environment you're in. Is that something you can give back to the environment? This is a form of maybe community service also, or maybe things that you can do to the environment that can benefit them without taking much from you. That's what I mean by responsibility to your environment. Example, you're in a community in which they are highly illiterate people, but you have the information, the knowledge, and the ability to share that knowledge. You have a responsibility to your environment to share it, to help reduce the illiteracy in the rate, to give back to the society in order for it to grow. This is what I mean by responsibility to your environment. It also does mean waste management and taking care of your trash properly and also all those things, but that's not the emphasis I'm emphasizing on. What I'm trying to emphasize is if there's something you can give back, you should give back. Okay, you're a businessman, a successful businessman. You've gone to different industries, different places and countries, different cities, and you've been successful. You've grown your business and it's now booming. In that sense, you have a responsibility to bring this business back to your community in order for it to boost its economic activities. So right now, look at this three categories of responsibility that I just did. Category to yourself, categories to others, and categories to the environment. What responsibilities do I have to myself? Let's just say it's still just education. Okay, my responsibility is to educate myself and be done with school. What is my responsibilities to others? My responsibility to others is now okay. Responsibilities to my parents who paid my fees. I have a responsibility to actually finish and graduate and show them the results. Responsibilities to the environment. Okay, learning. So I'm educated. So that means I should be to a certain level. I should have the responsibility to volunteer, to try to give back maybe the little those who I'm ahead of. I should give them a certain. I should be able to teach them, even if it's the basics, if it's just multiplication, division, subtractors, vowels, consonants. I have a responsibility to give back to those who aren't capable of getting it. So these are the three responsibilities I have as a student speaking. So as you can see, there are very few and they are very little. So this is my measure. The more responsibilities you have in each categories, the farther ahead you are in life. Or this is how I categorize where you are in life. So the more responsibilities, the more ahead you are in life. What I mean by ahead, I'm not talking about age or this. It's more or less experience, and if not experience, it's more about number of responsibilities you have at a certain period of time. So let's look at it from a different perspective. Somebody who had to be the breadwinner at the age of 15, had to start a business, had to find different ways in order to survive, to cope. Somebody who did all the jobs that you wouldn't do all the jobs you avoided, he did in order to make a living. So as you can see, okay, when we look at responsibility to himself, he has a responsibility to get up in the morning and go to his first job. He has a responsibility to go to his second job, and he has the responsibility to go to his third job. He also has the responsibility to himself to cater for his house and the people in the house. He also has a responsibility to himself to ensure that he accomplishes everything at a certain period in time and to work hard enough to earn his salary. And then his responsibilities to others. He's already the breadwinner at the age of 15, so that means he has the responsibility to provide for his family members. You look at it that okay, he has more responsibilities than me, an average student, in which I have responsibilities. So you can say in that category, he has a higher he has he's in a higher position or he has more experience in a particular place in life than person over here. That's what I mean by your life. Some people's life doesn't start at 20, some start earlier at 15, and some start later at 30. Because some people, these responsibilities don't hit them till they're 30. They don't know, they probably live in their parents' house or stay with their parents, not knowing, okay, I have a responsibility to this, I have a responsibility of that. And people who don't understand it, even at their 40s, you notice they live a different life. You go to their house, they don't have the responsibility to themselves. Look at their healthcare, they don't have the basic responsibility to themselves to get up at least twice or three times a week to go take a shower and come out, or the basic responsibility to leave or clean your environment. These are the people that have still yet to understand that okay, life is worth more living than just being in your room. So if you ask me, those people are yet to understand what life is. That's why I say life is equals to responsibility. So just to recap on everything. So responsibility, we all have not all have responsibilities, but the more responsibilities you have to me is an indicator, okay, you've started living your life. That means that you've started taking initiatives. So the more responsibilities you have, the farther you've gone in life. It doesn't mean the more successful you are in life. It simply just means the more experience you've gained or the more in life developed you are than another person. And then I earlier mentioned that okay, some people start earlier in life at 50, and some people start later in life, maybe at their 30s or 40s, while some people started at their 20s or 21s. So the moment responsibility catches up to you, it's the measure in which okay, the more responsibilities you have, the more ahead you are in life. It's not really a race or factor. I'm just saying, because if you look at it, some people started their lives at 15, 16, 12. Or for example, we look at child actors maybe, because they've already achieved, okay, their first income. They already have a steady job, and by the time they're 21, they probably already are successful in whatever they're doing, or probably failed more. So you can see what I'm trying to say. People that start having responsibilities at a different age and at a different period in time. So this is the measure in which we see life as responsibility. Life equals responsibility. And we categorize responsibility into three, or I categorize it, not we. I categorize it into three parts, which is first of all responsibility to yourself, responsibility that you're number one, responsibility to take care of yourself, responsibility to ensure that you're responsible for yourself. Yeah. So basically, and then we have responsibilities to others, and which is responsibility you have to others. For example, your family members' responsibility to ensure their safety, blah blah blah, blah blah blah. Their responsibility to if they're sick to take them to the clinic or to take care of them. Or these are example of responsibilities to others, responsibilities to your neighbors, responsibilities to the people you pass in the road, and treating them with a certain level of dignity and respect. They have responsibility to your environment. This is I mentioned this is giving back to your environment, to your community. Okay, there's a foundation or volunteering. These are things you can do to enrich your community. So this is what I mean by responsibility. So as I mentioned earlier, the more responsibilities you have, the more into life you're in than the person who has less responsibilities. Because, like I said, responsibilities drive you to achieve a certain thing. Responsibilities give you a push needed for you to start acting or living life. I mentioned an example earlier, an apartment basically. So you're living in an apartment, you're responsible for yourself to clean it, to keep it clean. This is what I mean. But let's say you stay at home with your parents too. That means your only responsibility is to your room. So nothing is really pushing you out there to like, okay, I have to go find what to eat. No, somebody already does that, so you don't have that responsibility, which means you're doing less, you're having more idle time than the average person. And so that's what I mean by responsibilities push life and responsibilities should be the measure of life. So basically, that's it. That's how I feel like life is, or the measure of life is. The more responsible you are at a certain period of time, the more you develop or further you are in life. So life doesn't start at 20 or 21 for most people. For most people, life starts at 15, and for some, it starts later at 30, 28. So don't really take it to yourself that, oh, this person has more responsibilities to me at a certain period of time. It might catch up to you too one day, maybe your 30s, your 20s. So it's not really a race. Everybody is where they're meant to be right now in life. The responsibilities that do catch up to you will definitely catch up to you, and it is now your responsibility to do the best you can. So I just like to rant sometimes, or not even sometimes, most times. So if you got all the way to the end, thank you, and see you in the next video. Different ways, but I categorize